Emilio here with Heon Deploy. We've heard from our customers that not everyone knows how to compare DePIN projects. So to give you a sense of one approach on evaluating projects, we're going to pit two of our newest and highest performing DePIN projects against each other to battle for your purchase. Today, it's the battle of the nodes, DeEEP versus Aethir. I'm gonna pass it over to JD, our resident tech expert, who's gonna take these two products through his DePIN Decathlon.
Node projects are computers that are set up at your house, and they will host services such as a web server, a Minecraft server, a game server. Some of them are set up to actually do that and host game servers, but some of them claim they are and they're not even close to it. We're gonna go through the top 10 questions I asked myself when researching a project. Let's get started. DeEEP already has an existing parent company called nerdnode.io. They host nodes such as Gala nodes for like 25 bucks a month. So they already have a way to generate recurrent revenue, which is good for a project like this. What DeEEP is planning to do, instead of the servers being hosted in a data center, is going to be hosted on one of these DeEEP nodes that people run in their homes.
We are taking Web3 services back from Web2. We're deploying thousands of physical hardware nodes and creating a global, decentralized peer-to-peer infrastructure.
Let's move on to Aethir now. Dude, are you kidding me? Their site's down right now. So for Aethir, I was going to show you their website, but it just happens to be down for their Edge device, unfortunately. But they do claim that they are going to be an Edge GPU cloud provider.
With this device, users will help to decentralize and power Aethir's DePIN network, enabling lower latency cloud gaming, AI training, and inference.
So one of the use cases that most people might relate to is Microsoft Game Pass. Video game is rendered on a server in the back end on a graphics card, and then the video stream is sent to the end user's device, like a phone that doesn't have a graphics card in it. Another thing Aethir wants to do is provide real-time 4K streaming, so they would render the videos on their GPUs in the cloud and then send the video stream to your end device, which doesn't really make sense because your end device probably supports 4K anyways. Give a little nudge there because it makes no fucking sense. So my point's gonna have to go to DeEEP for this category because they're trying to host nodes that, actually make sense, hosting Minecraft servers and stuff like that. This is a very important category. People want to know the distribution of the tokens, what type of rewards they can expect. So this is the DeEEP network tokenomics. This is the beginning of the network. 42% will go to the community. Let's just call it 43. Utilization is basically services like, let's just use a Minecraft server, for example. If I was hosted on the DeEEP device, it'd get like 19% of the utilization rewards. The founders are like, not the founder devices, but like the team behind the DeEEP project. So they're gonna get like 6.11%. Once the network is fully saturated with 1 million devices online, so like endgame stuff, the team who created DeEEP are only gonna be allocated just under 11% of the total tokens, which is pretty good. And then the amazing part is the utilization. So services being hosted on the DeEEP network, these will account for almost 86% of the total rewards, which is very, very good. Let's move on to the tokenomics of Aethir now. When you see the two graphs together, you understand why I get frustrated with this project. There is a very different allocation of tokens going on here. So the team that have created Aethir is gonna get 12.5%. The advisors, who the hell knows what that is, they're gonna get 5%. The investors, I guess those are the early people, like inside people who probably gave like VC money, 11.5%. But anyways, this then allocates to 29% of the total tokens, not for the community, which is, kind of high compared to DeEEP, which only had like just under 11%. We're talking almost triple the amount of tokens going to the team and the investors. You'll also notice that there's no section for the Edge device, but it's really this section here. The one that provides 50% of the rewards will go to the checkers and compute devices. Only 23% of that 50% is going to be allocated to the Edge devices. So there's really not that much tokens that are going to be allocated to this device, which, I'm not a fan of. But one more point, really quick, I just want to go over is how you unlock the tokens for Aethir. You're only able to claim 30% of your daily mine tokens immediately. To get your other 30%, you have to wait 90 days. And then to claim your final 40% would be 180 days, so 6 months later. So if you mine 100 tokens today, you can only cash out 30 right away. Every project I've seen that has used these type of mechanics, such as Match X, for example. Those projects did not end well. Yeah, dude, they're gonna fucking hate me. I already know. Moving on to the machine, the piece of hardware that you guys are buying, we want to know, is this thing a brick? If something goes wrong with the project, let's say the project dies for some reason, can you repurpose the machine and then sell it to recoup your money or something? So for Aethir, there's unfortunately no way that I could see from their documentation that you can repurpose the device. It's just pretty much a cell phone in a box. When you see the inside of this machine, it's fucking stupid. Here you can see the pictures they submit to the FCC. So we can see all the internal photos here. That's the chip of the Aethir Edge. So it's mostly air inside of there. You can see there's a fan that blows just some air over the heatsink on the other side here. It's pretty much nothing inside of this. Just empty space on the board and the heatsink. And these are just the silicone chips. And that's pretty much, oh, there's a display in the front. That adds like 50 bucks. It's probably running Android, but there's no steps to like unlock it and run your own code on it. So that one's kind of considered a brick because once the project dies, if it does die, you can't repurpose it. It just has a single use. With DeEEP, we could see that it's an actual computer. So here we could see like the SSD, the motherboard, the big cooler needed to dissipate the heat from an actual powerful processor, the i9. Here we have the expansion slot, so you can put in a video card. Comes with like 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte NVMe drive, and something very cool is at the bottom here. You can reset it to a normal computer if you want to get out of the DeEEP network. So this is an actual little workstation computer, not just a mobile chip in a box. So pretty obvious. I'm going to give my point to DeEEP here just because it's very easy to repurpose the device and sell it if needed. You know, when you buy a piece of equipment such as the Aethir, you know, it's being sold for like $1,300. How much do we think that device actually costs to manufacture? I have the data sheet here. So we could see it comes equipped with the Qualcomm 865 chip, you know, 12 gigs of RAM. It comes with like 256 gig storage. And I mean, it's pretty much the specs of a smartphone. So in my opinion, a device like this probably costs like $200 to $300 to make. It's really smartphone specs in a box you plug in the wall. It's being sold for $1,300 and so there's like at least $1,000 markup here. Moving on to the DeEEP, I have the manufacturer link that manufactures the DeEEP units, and we could see here that they're actually being sold for $839. That's an i9 version, the 32 gigs, 1 terabyte SSD. So, you know, these units sell for $1,111. The markup is not too bad. You know, this company probably gets it a little bit cheaper too. They make profit too along the way, but there's nowhere near the amount of markup that is done in the DeEEP network versus the Aethir. I'm gonna have to give my point to DeEEP. We're gonna look at how many nodes are in the project right now. So how many devices are set up on the network? Are you gonna be in the like 500 club? Are you gonna be 1,000 club? Is there 100,000 units? We wanna make sure you're early, not too late, so you can make the maximum amount of rewards. For Aethir, there's about 30,000 units online right now on the network, and we know this because there's a staking fee to start, and it's about 2,153 tokens. For the DeEEP network, we're still in the founders timeline, so there's only 1,776 founder edition nodes to be sold. Right now we have 580 on the network. They're much earlier into the DeEEP project, so there's probably much more rewards to be earned for the early people. So for DeEEP, we can see that this thing came out on June 26, 2024, the server was created. This is the earliest post I could find in their servers. And for Aethir, it was created around July 20th, 2023, their server, so it's about a year older. So for the point, I'm gonna have to give it to DeEEP. Aethir is more established, but you know, the reward potential is probably lower because you weren't there as an early bird. People want to know how many units can they deploy at their house. So for DeEEP, you could actually scale unlimited devices at your house, but you have to follow some specific requirements that they have. So you need one public IP per device. So if you have multiple IPs at your house, you could allocate them to each device. You'll need to open a DMZ or port forward all your devices. So The services hosted on them could access the internet, can't block the ports, and you would need 100 megabits down and 20 megabits upload for each device to earn the full rewards. These requirements you should pay close attention to, because if you can't get 100 megabits down and 20 up, you should maybe reconsider or check if your ISP could upgrade your internet packages to faster speeds. Requirements like this normally will only increase in the future, so if you can't even meet the requirements, these are not projects you should look into. For the Aethir, they're actually a little bit more lax, so you just need 20 megabits upload and download per device. There's no requirements for forwarding the ports or having IPs per device, so I'm going to have to hand the point to Aethir on this one, just because it's going to be more accessible to people who don't have fast internet. I want to know who these people are that are running these projects. I want to make sure they're real people, not some AI generated photo. When they're anonymous, it's kind of hard to trust. So first, the DeEEP project, you could try and find the teams through the website, but most of the time I prefer finding out about the groups through Discord. Here we can see one of the founders, Anthony. There are another one, like Manny. You see how he's hiding behind a taco? I'm not a fan of when they hide behind pictures like that. This guy's helium balloons, I don't know. And I also check in their general channels. I'm like, okay, is the team even replying to people? So here we can see another one of the founders, Ivar. You can see he's got his picture of his face. I'm actually a mutual friend with someone who knows him, so that's, reassures me. You can see he's actually in the chat today, 8:22 in the morning. He's answering people's questions. That question's retarded. Now, the Aethir team, on their Discord, honestly, I barely see any of their founders. You would normally see them at the top. They'd have roles. They just have lots of other roles. None of them seem to be important. They're just a couple mods, but they're not founders. I just can't find really interactions with the founders other than when there's announcements made. See Mark, one of the co-founders. Let's see when he last posted in Discord. August 27th. And we're December 17th. So, I do prefer when founders are a little more active than this. So these projects are also in different stages. Like DeEEP is an earlier project, so the founders are more likely to be involved in their server. The Aethir project has been around for a little bit, so, the founders might be tied up to more important things and have less time to spend in Discord. I did find though on their parent company Aethir, they do have their team here. As you can see, the DeEEP network does not have this. They have their LinkedIn profiles. So I do like this. Not a fan of these type of pictures though. I don't like when they're cartoons. I'm going to have to give the point to Aethir. They're a little more transparent. At least they have the teams and their roles on their website. When you read through the documentation, like the light paper or white paper or whatever paper, we want to make sure it explains the vision and what's going on. Starting with Aethir first, I'm on their docs page. Honestly, the Aethir Edge documentation sucks. I went through it like a couple times and I still don't grasp exactly what they're trying to do. I do see it's full of lots of buzzwords like AI, gaming, AR, VR. There's lots of cloud GPU stuff, but it's still hard to understand what they're trying to do other than they're an edge device, but that means not too much. And also their numbers don't match up, because here it says there's 40,000 units sold, but when you're on board in it, the onboard fees are for 30,000 units sold, so that's not a good look. Now for DeEEP, their documentation, I actually do like it. It's a lot shorter than the Aethir documentation, but it does go into detail about like what the project is trying to accomplish. Like, we're using your unused bandwidth to host stuff and you're getting paid for that. It's very well explained what the hell is going on in this project. I only had to read through the documentation once. I didn't feel the need to have to go in Discord and ask questions because it's just well explained in their documentation. They even list the manufacturer of the hardware. Like I was saying before, you could see how much that unit actually cost. It's not hidden, it's all public. So I'm gonna have to give the point to DeEEP on this one. It's just, I don't even feel like it's fair to compare the two documentations here. For the final category, I want to see the momentum on their Discord. Like, are their servers active? Do they have lots of members? Are they full of bots? Does it get spammed? Is it dead? Like, I don't know. I need to go investigate this stuff to see how active their community is. I avoid Telegram just because I'm personally not a Telegram fan, so, it is what it is. I'm just a Discord guy, so that's what I use to do my due diligence. This is my Discord name if anyone wants to add me. But right now, the DeEEP network, there's only 526 members and there's 207 online. Pretty small. But if you're looking to get into projects early, this is very nice numbers to see. Now, I'm going to compare it to the Aethir, almost 360,000 members and 20,000 online. So you could see a humongous difference here, right? But I'm going to jump into their Discord server just to see like what are people talking about, because some servers just have a lot of nothing, like bots just spam and talk about nothing. I don't see tons of activity that I would consider like legitimate. Like people are asking, when will I be rich? Haha, soon. A lot of these people ask the same questions over and over again, so I'm not entirely sure if they're real people or not. Just the questions are questionable that they're asking. And they do talk about contests a lot. But moving over to the DeEEP server, for a server that has like 200 people online, there are people just asking legitimate questions here. You know, how do you claim your roles? They're posting pictures of charts. I see a lot more activity in this server than a server that has 100x the users. It doesn't seem natural what's going on in the Aethir server. If you're gonna spend your money, you wanna make sure it's in like a legitimate project. They're both legitimate, but some of them have questionable tactics. So I prefer to be safe than sorry, and I would go with the smaller server that's just more real. I don't know the tally we got, but it's pretty obvious that DeEEP has more points than Aethir. But I also want to mention, I think Aethir, the parent company, is a great project that has lots of potential. Just their little sub company that's selling the Aethir Edge, the overpriced little phone in a box, I'm just not sold on it yet. I'm up for my mind to be changed with Discord. Maybe someone could, you know, argue some valid points and I'll change my mind. I'm always in the market to have my opinion changed.
You were right about Aethir.
I hope that was helpful, and if you like the format, you can put the name of the projects you'd like us to evaluate next in the comments. Also remember, if you have harsh comments about projects or want to share your opinion, go on our free speech Discord where we will never ban you for having harsh thoughts. And on that note, be well and keep mining.